Have you ever wondered why some people stay sharp and energetic well into their 70s, 80s, and even 90s, while others start to struggle with memory, focus, and mental clarity long before? Is it just the luck of the draw, good genes, or something more? What if I told you there are hidden habits, often overlooked in everyday life, that make a profound difference, not only in how long you live, but in how well your brain works as you age? And here's the best part. These habits are not complicated. They aren't reserved for health gurus or scientists. They're woven into the small decisions you make every single day, especially in the foods you choose to eat. Here's a surprising truth. Your brain's health, its sharpness, and its vitality depend on more than crossword puzzles, vitamins, or the latest miracle supplement. In fact, the foods you enjoy every day, sometimes even those you've trusted for years, can quietly affect how well blood flows to your brain. Over time, certain foods can slowly clog those precious vessels, leaving your mind starved for oxygen and nutrients. But the story doesn't end there, because once you know what to look out for, you gain the power to protect and nourish your brain for years to come. If you've ever worried about forgetting names, losing your keys, or feeling foggy in the afternoon, you're not alone. Most seniors notice these changes, but what if you could do something about it starting right now? In this video, I invite you to join me as we explore the 7 common foods that may be quietly blocking your brain's blood flow, and the science-backed, practical swaps that can help restore your memory, boost your mood, and sharpen your mind at any age. It's not about cutting out everything you love or following some extreme diet. It's about making small, smart changes, ones that are simple, enjoyable, and proven to help keep your mind clear and bright. By the end of this video, you'll understand why these foods are so risky for brain health, what happens in your body and brain when you eat them regularly, and most importantly, how you can protect yourself and even reverse some of the damage, starting today. Sometimes, just one new habit or a single change in your daily menu can transform the future of your brain health. You owe it to yourself and the people who care about you to discover these hidden dangers and learn how easy it can be to make your next chapter your brightest one yet. So let's get started, because the secrets you'll hear today aren't just about avoiding problems. They're about building a life with more energy, more focus, and more joy. Ready to take charge of your brain health? Let's dive in. The invisible link: how food shapes your brain's future. Most of us grow up thinking that memory loss, brain fog, or senior moments are just part of aging, unavoidable, like gray hair or wrinkles. But new research gives us hope. Up to 80% of how our brain ages is actually determined not by fate, but by the choices we make every day. That means what you eat for breakfast, lunch, and dinner has a far greater impact than you may have ever realized. Your brain relies on a constant supply of fresh, oxygen-rich blood. Even the slightest blockage, the tiniest narrowing in a blood vessel, can rob your mind of the energy it needs to think clearly, remember names, or enjoy conversation. Over years or decades, certain foods slowly build up plaque and inflammation in these delicate vessels, quietly sabotaging your sharpness. But here's the hopeful part. Around the world, scientists have studied communities where people live long, healthy lives with remarkably clear minds. What separates them isn't expensive treatments, miracle pills, or perfect genes. It's the daily choices, especially around food, that keep their brain roads open and flowing. Dr. Lisa Mosconi, neuroscientist and author of Brain Food, says, "The greatest tool you have for protecting your brain isn't found in a pharmacy, but at the end of your fork." Why it works. Healthy, nourishing foods keep blood vessels open, lower inflammation, and provide the nutrients your brain needs to repair itself. Foods that are high in certain fats, sugars, or salts do the opposite, quietly raising your risk of memory loss and even stroke, sometimes before you notice a single symptom. So as we start this journey, remember, your brain's future isn't fixed. Every meal is an opportunity to fuel your mind, protect your memories, and enjoy life with clarity, confidence, and joy. Blood flow and the aging brain, why it matters. As we age, our bodies change in ways both obvious and hidden. We may notice our hair turning silver or our joints growing stiff, but inside your head, another quiet shift is happening. The intricate network of blood vessels that supply your brain begins to lose some of its youthful flexibility. Think of these vessels as tiny highways, responsible for delivering every drop of oxygen and every vital nutrient your brain needs to think, feel, remember, and dream. Now here's something you might not have heard before. Even a little traffic jam in these brain highways can lead to memory problems, mood swings, or that frustrating feeling of mental fog. Over time, if those blockages grow, the risks get much bigger, contributing to strokes, dementia, or even sudden confusion. Doctors used to think these changes were inevitable, like the tides or the seasons. But the latest research offers hope. What we eat is one of the biggest factors that decides how open and healthy our brain's blood vessels remain. Imagine the difference between a clean, flowing river and a clogged, sluggish one. The right foods keep that river flowing freely. The wrong ones fill it with debris, narrowing the path and starving your brain of what it needs most. The good news? By making a few simple changes, you can keep those brain highways clear, protecting your memories, your independence, and your joy for years to come. The 7 foods that slowly clog your brain's blood flow. Let's pull back the curtain and get specific. Which foods are quietly working against your brain health, and what should you reach for instead? We'll reveal each one, share the science behind its effects, and offer practical, realistic swaps you can start today. Let's begin with the most common culprit. 1. Processed meats, the silent saboteurs. Why they're harmful. Bacon, sausages, ham, hot dogs, and deli meats. These familiar favorites might seem harmless, but here's the science. Processed meats are loaded with sodium, preservatives, and saturated fat. Over time, these ingredients inflame the lining of your blood vessels and raise your blood pressure. The result? A gradual buildup of plaque that narrows the arteries supplying your brain. A landmark study published in the journal Neurology followed more than 1,000 seniors for a decade. Those who ate the most processed meats had a 44% higher risk of memory loss and reduced blood flow in brain scans compared to those who ate little or none. Take Helen, age 76, from Ohio. For years, she enjoyed a ham sandwich for lunch. Over time, she noticed more senior moments, forgetting appointments, losing her train of thought mid-conversation. When her doctor reviewed her diet and suggested cutting back on deli meats, Helen was skeptical, but gave it a try. Within months of swapping processed meats for grilled chicken or tuna salad, Helen's blood pressure improved and her mind felt sharper than it had in years. Instead of ham or salami, try fresh turkey, roast chicken, or egg salad with herbs. Replace bacon with avocado slices for a creamy, satisfying addition to breakfast. Craving a sandwich? Pile on veggies, hummus, or homemade grilled meats. Action. Tip. When you shop, read labels and aim for the shortest ingredient list possible. Fresh, whole cuts of meat or plant-based proteins are always a better choice for your brain. 2. Sugary drinks. Sweetness with a hidden cost, why they're harmful. You might love a cold can of soda, a sugary iced tea, or even those colorful energy drinks. But what seems like a small treat can quietly wreak havoc on your brain's blood vessels. Sugary drinks spike your blood sugar, trigger inflammation, and over time lead to insulin resistance. These changes damage the lining of your arteries and encourage plaque buildup, narrowing those crucial highways to your brain. A Harvard study that followed over 3,000 adults found that those who drank at least one sugar-sweetened beverage daily had more signs of silent strokes on brain scans, even when they felt perfectly healthy. These micro-strokes can chip away at memory and increase the risk of dementia. Consider David, age 71, from Arizona. David never felt like he had much of a sweet tooth, but he enjoyed 2 sodas every afternoon for a little pick-me-up. Over the years, he noticed his energy fading and struggled with focus. After a routine checkup, flagged high blood sugar and borderline blood pressure, David's doctor suggested switching out his sodas for sparkling water with lemon. Not only did his numbers improve, David says his mind now feels clearer than it has in decades. Replace soda and sweet teas with unsweetened herbal tea, infused water or sparkling water with fruit. If you crave sweetness, try chilled coconut water or homemade fruit-infused water. Think berries, orange slices, mint. Gradually reduce sugar in your coffee or tea. You'll be amazed how quickly your taste buds adjust. Action. Tip. Try this experiment. Go. 1 week without sugary drinks and keep a clarity journal. Note your mood, focus, and energy. Most people notice a real difference in just days. 3 trans fats, the silent saboteur in processed foods. Why they're harmful. Trans fats, often lurking in packaged pastries, margarine, fried fast food, and even buttery microwave popcorn, are notorious for raising bad cholesterol and slashing the good. But few realize how powerfully they constrict brain blood flow. Trans fats make arteries stiff and sticky, laying down dangerous plaque and raising the risk of strokes, memory loss, and even depression. A major study published in the journal Neurology tracked older adults for over a decade and found that those with higher blood levels of trans fats had up to a 75% greater risk of dementia. The effect was strongest in people who ate processed snack foods, frozen meals, and restaurant fries. Meet Linda, 68, from Ohio. Linda loved to bake, and she often used shortening for that perfect pie crust. Over time, she began to notice word finding, problems, and brain fog. Her doctor encouraged her to check food labels for partially hydrogenated oils, the telltale sign of trans fats. Linda switched to olive oil and real butter in moderation. Now, not only does she feel sharper, but her family swears her pies taste better than ever. Read labels and avoid foods with partially hydrogenated oil. Swap margarine or shortening for extra virgin olive oil or avocado oil. Choose snacks like air-popped popcorn, nuts, or fruit over chips and pastries. Action tip. During your next grocery trip, pick one packaged snack to swap for a healthier option. Your brain and your heart will thank you. 4 highly processed meats, the double threat. Why they're harmful. Hot dogs, bacon, deli meats, and sausages are more than just salty treats. They're often packed with saturated fats, preservatives, and chemicals called nitrites. These can inflame and damage the lining of blood vessels in the brain, accelerating the buildup of artery-clogging plaque. A 2021 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed that people who regularly ate processed meats had poorer cognitive scores and higher rates of small strokes, especially as they aged. Ronald, 74, from Kentucky, grew up eating bacon every morning. But after a minor stroke, he met with a dietitian who helped him discover new breakfast favorites, like whole grain toast with nut butter and scrambled eggs with spinach. He misses his bacon sometimes, but Ronald says he hasn't felt this clear-headed since his 40s. Choose unprocessed meats like roast chicken or turkey breast. Enjoy eggs, beans, or Greek yogurt for breakfast, instead of processed meats. When you do crave a sandwich, try hummus or avocado with fresh veggies. Action. Tip. If you love deli meats, start by having your usual portion and doubling up on vegetables. 5 refined grains, the blood sugar roller coaster. Why they're harmful. White bread, white rice, most breakfast cereals and crackers are stripped of their natural fiber and nutrients. These refined grains spike blood sugar, which damages tiny blood vessels, especially in the brain over time. They also raise inflammation and lead to energy crashes and poor concentration. Research from Tufts University found that seniors with diets high in refined grains and low in fiber had thinner brain cortexes, the area tied to memory and thinking skills. Whole grains, by contrast, are linked to better blood flow and brain performance. Evelyn, 76, from Florida, always had toast for breakfast and white rice for dinner. After learning about the risks, she switched to oatmeal and brown rice. It was an adjustment, she admits, but my blood sugar stabilized and so did my memory lapses. Choose whole grain breads, brown rice, quinoa or steel-cut oats. Swap crackers for raw veggies or a handful of almonds. If you bake, try substituting half the white flour with whole wheat or oat flour. Action tip: make one meal each day a whole grain meal. Even small changes add up. 6 foods high in added salt, the blood pressure culprit. Why they're harmful. It's not just the salt shaker. Hidden sodium in canned soups, instant noodles, frozen meals and sauces can silently raise blood pressure. High blood pressure is the #1 risk factor for strokes and silent brain injuries that chip away at memory and mood. According to the CDC, over 70% of the sodium in the average American diet comes from processed and restaurant foods. Seniors with lower sodium intake have better brain health and fewer small strokes. Patricia, 70, from Oregon, used to eat canned soups almost daily. After her doctor advised her to cut salt, Patricia began making big batches of homemade vegetable soup, freezing portions for later. She uses herbs and garlic for flavor. Not only did her blood pressure improve, she says her head feels lighter and less foggy. Rinse canned beans and veggies to remove excess salt. Cook at home more often, seasoning with herbs and lemon instead of salt. Compare food labels. Choose low sodium whenever possible. Action tip: pick one processed food you eat regularly. Look up its sodium content, then challenge yourself to find a lower salt alternative. 7 artificial sweeteners, the unseen disruptors. Why they're harmful. They're in diet sodas, sugar-free treats, and even many light yogurts. But artificial sweeteners like aspartame, saccharin, and sucralose may alter your gut bacteria, trigger inflammation, and, despite being calorie-free, have been linked to higher stroke and dementia risk in some studies. A landmark study in Stroke 2017 found that older adults who drank diet sodas every day were nearly 3 times more likely to suffer a stroke or develop dementia compared to those who didn't. Frank, 73, from Michigan, loved his daily diet cola. But after learning about the risks, he started flavoring water with cucumber slices and drinking unsweetened iced tea. I don't miss the aftertaste, and my head feels clearer, he says. Swap diet sodas for sparkling water with lemon or unsweetened herbal teas. Satisfy your sweet tooth with fruit, like frozen grapes or apple slices with cinnamon. If you must use a sweetener, try stevia or monk fruit, but use sparingly. Action tip: go 1 week without artificial sweeteners and notice any changes in mood, focus, or headaches. Small changes, big results. You don't have to overhaul your diet overnight. Each small swap is a powerful investment in your brain health, your memory, and your independence. Whether you're 60, 70, 80, or beyond, it's never too late or too early to start. Pick one food from this list that you want to change first. Write down your reasons, make a plan, and give it a try for a week. Your future self will thank you, and so will those who love you. If you found this video helpful, please like, subscribe, and share it with someone who cares about their brain health. Let's build a future where every senior can enjoy more years, filled with energy, clarity, and joy. Thank you for watching, and remember, every day is a new chance to nourish your brain and your life.